Hey curious minds, welcome back to Curiosity Commentary, the channel where we uncover the strange, the surprising, and the things you probably never thought about before. Today, I'm taking you on a 10-minute journey through everyday mysteries and amazing animal facts that will blow your mind. Stick around because some of these will change the way you see the world. Owls have some of the sharpest night vision on the planet, but here's something wild. They can't actually move their eyes. That's right, their eyes are fixed in place like binoculars. So how do they look around? By turning their entire head. And not just a little, owls can rotate their heads up to 270 degrees. That's almost 3/4 of a full circle. Special neck bones and arteries allow them to twist so far without cutting off blood flow to their brains. Imagine if you had to turn your whole head just to glance sideways. Pretty inconvenient for us, but for owls, it's perfect. But owls aren't the only fascinating ones. Next up, penguins, and honestly, they might be the most romantic animals out there. A male penguin spends time searching for the smoothest pebble he can find. Why? Because that little stone is his engagement ring. If the female accepts it, they're officially partners and they start building their pebble nest together. Some penguins even sneak pebbles from neighbors, which is kind of like cheating on your diamond budget. Either way, it's a love story in the snow. And if you think penguins are impressive, wait until you hear about elephants. These gentle giants are more like us than most animals we know. In fact, they can recognize themselves in mirrors, which scientists consider a rare sign of self-awareness. During tests, elephants touched marks on their own foreheads when looking at a mirror, showing they knew the reflection wasn't another elephant, but actually themselves. Combine that with how they grieve their dead, comfort each other, and even celebrate births, and you realize elephants are some of the most emotionally intelligent creatures on Earth. If you're loving these animal discoveries so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We've still got everyday objects, food, and even the science of the sky and fire coming up next. Alright, let's leave the wild for a second and look at something you probably see every morning, the snooze button. You think hitting it gives you extra rest, right? Wrong. When you snooze, your body slips back into light sleep, only to be jolted awake again. That's why you feel groggier than before. Scientists call this sleep inertia. So ironically, the snooze button is less your friend and more your morning enemy. And speaking of mornings, what's the first thing you do after waking up? Probably turn on a light. We often credit Thomas Edison with inventing the light bulb, but he wasn't the first. Inventors like Humphrey Davy and Joseph Swan had working versions years earlier. Edison's true genius was improving the design so it lasted longer and could be mass-produced, which is why his name shines brightest in history. So technically, he didn't invent the light bulb. He just made it practical for everyone. And while we're talking about everyday tools, let's clear up a myth about pencils. Despite being called pencil lead, there's no lead inside at all. It's actually graphite mixed with clay. Discovered in England back in the 1500s, lead styluses were used in Roman times, but graphite proved safer and smoother. In fact, graphite is also used in modern tech like batteries and even nuclear reactors. So every time you jot down a note, you're writing with a material powerful enough to fuel technology. By the way, which one of these everyday myths surprised you the most? Comment below while you're watching. I love seeing which facts catch people off guard. Let's move from objects to the kitchen. Here's a fruit twist that will mess with your head. Bananas are technically berries, but strawberries aren't. Botanists define berries as fruits that develop from a single flower with one ovary. Bananas fit the rule perfectly, while strawberries don't. So next time you're making a smoothie, remember, science says bananas beat strawberries in the berry game. And speaking of sweet treats, ice cream is way older than you might think. Ancient Persians were enjoying frozen desserts with fruit as far back as 500 BC. Even Roman Emperor Nero had ice carried down from the mountains so he could mix it with honey. Imagine needing an army of servants just to get dessert. Talk about royal cravings. Now let's move on to something that has made all of us shed a tear or two in the kitchen: the onion. Ever wondered why chopping onions makes your eyes sting? When you slice into an onion, you're actually breaking open its cells. This releases enzymes that mix with sulfur compounds, producing a gas called synpropanethyl oxide. Once it reaches your eyes, your tear glands go into defense mode and release tears to wash it away. Here's a fun twist: not all onions make you cry equally. Sweeter onions like Vidalias produce less of this chemical, which is why they sting less. And get this, chilling onions before cutting can actually slow the reaction and reduce tears. Some chefs even cut onions under running water to keep the gas from reaching their eyes. So next time you're in the kitchen tearing up, you'll know the science behind those onion tears. Quick check, are you still with me, curious minds? If yes, drop a banana or onion emoji in the comments so I know you made it this far. Let's look up for a moment. Why is the sky blue? The answer lies in a process called Rayleigh scattering. Sunlight is made up of many colors, and each color has a different wavelength. Blue light has shorter wavelengths, which means it gets scattered in all directions by the tiny gas molecules in our atmosphere. That's why, during the day, the sky looks blue. But here's something you might not have noticed. At sunrise and sunset, the light has to travel through more atmosphere. The blue light scatters away, leaving behind the reds and oranges that paint the sky. In other words, the same science that makes the sky blue also gives us those stunning sunsets. Pretty amazing, right? And finally, let's talk about fire. Most people think of fire as a solid or maybe even a gas, but technically, it's neither. Fire is actually plasma, the fourth state of matter. It happens when gases are heated so much that their atoms break apart into charged particles. That's why fire glows, flickers, and dances unpredictably. Even cooler, not all fires are orange. Different chemicals burn in different colors. For example, copper burns green, sodium burns yellow, and potassium burns purple. So next time you see a fireworks display, you're really just watching chemistry in action. And that's it, the 10 amazing, mind-blowing facts about animals, everyday objects, food, and even the world around us. From penguins proposing with pebbles, to bananas being berries, to the science of fire, the world is full of surprises. So tell me, which fact blew your mind the most? Was it the owl's rotating head, the onions making you cry, or maybe the idea that bananas are actually berries? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this curiosity journey, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you'll never miss another curiosity drop. Until next time, keep wondering, keep questioning, and stay curious.